Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel. Listen, my name is Charmaine Marie. I am your angelic healing practitioner. Let's talk about the energy that I'm picking up on for today. So, with the Ace of Cups, this is a pure emotional reset, okay? New love, new devotion, new spiritual flow, right? This isn't a rebound, but it is a clean vessel and it's being filled. Filled with grace, longevity, and sacred legitimacy, right? So, what emerges after the ending, okay? Because there was an ending. This is a death to rebirth initiation, but it's guided by divine intelligence, is what I meant. So, this brings justice, it brings strategy, it brings spiritual discipline. So you're being protected right now at this time while you're navigating a situation that requires wisdom over reaction, right? So this aligns with the High Priestess energy, and it confirms that the truth is already known internally. So you don't need any more external validation. It's not needed, right? So with the Ten of Swords, this marks a final ending. It's not a betrayal that repeats, but it's one that cannot be resurrected. It cannot. This is the moment where mental suffering, old narratives, okay, and karmic exhaustion, it collapsed completely. And this is why the angel of revelation and emotional clarity is here. Because see, what felt confusing, it now becomes understandable. And this is where you turn down your pain into knowledge, right? It's a pure emotional reset. New love, new devotion, new spiritual flow. It's a clean vessel being filled, right? So what emerges though after the ending is a blessed, stable, and meant to endure circumstance. This is a divine approval on your next chapter. This is what it's about, y'all. So you moving from a time where, okay, silent knowing, painful closure, divine understanding, and now emotional rebirth, but also lasting blessing. So this is a confirmation that the ending was necessary, your intuition was correct, and what comes next is protected, it is loving, and it is aligned. This is what y'all need to know. You knew the whole time. This was about a sacred initiation path. And this is what happens when your soul pretty much outgrow a old timeline. You outgrew it. This was about divine strategy and silent knowing. You were never meant to explain yourself in that situation, okay? Because see, your angels and God work with cosmic law, discipline, and precision, meaning events that were orchestrated. They were meant to be orchestrated, not just randomly. But see, you knew the truth early. But see, you stayed silent longer than others could. Because you know why? You were always observing, okay? That's why. And this is why God trained you in energetic restraint. It's a high priestess skill that you need to learn. You need to learn energetic restraint. Even though you know the truth sometime, it still will cause you to be silent just so you can observe the situation. So no, it ain't no heartbreak, but it is an ego death. It's the final mental death. The pain peaked, okay? So that it could end permanently. You ain't got time to be still looping lessons. No karmic reruns. Nope, I told y'all. That's over. A soul contract has expired. An illusion collapsed completely. And the mind can no longer justify staying. It is what it is. You didn't lose something. No, you was released, baby. God released you. Because you going through a sacred initiation path. This is about emotional intelligence. It's about revelation after suffering. It's about understanding why it happened. This is when the pain starts making sense. Y'all need to understand this, not intellectually, but spiritually. This is a divine revelation, but it's also the emotional truth. So now you can stop asking yourself, why did this happen to me? And you can start knowing that this had to end for me so that I can now become who I am now. So, your heart, you ain't got time to keep reacting from wounds. No. So, listen, this is a heart rebirth. Your heart is now receiving, okay? And it is given by the divine. This is holy receptivity. This is what it is. Softness without vulnerability, openness without desperation, and love without chasing. A heart rebirth, like a virgin emotional state. This is what you're going through because why? Your destiny is crowned. The initiation, honey, is sealed. God is bringing you longevity, grace under pressure, and recognition that lasts. This is what's happening. So now you can step into, your crown destiny because it's protected from sabotage and it has spiritual authority and it's not temporary. So you ain't no longer surviving, but you are established now. So listen, the ending needed to take place. I'm trying to tell y'all what I know. Trying to tell you. It needed to take place. And this is why I did. And God removed you out of that old karmic timeline that you already outgrew. It no longer served its purpose. So listen. So this is why your soul completed a karmic cycle. So love actually upgrades from attachment now to devotion. And power has now been returned without hardness. So you're no longer learning through pain. That's over. What you are going to be doing is learning now through alignment because you are aligned. You're divinely aligned, okay? So this ain't about what happens to you, but it's about how your inner authority replaces external power. So listen, you're shifting from being affected to being self-led now, okay? And so, listen, this was strategic. The moment you chose clarity over intensity, you learned when not to engage. Because why? This is the moment now that you realize that I don't need to prove my worth to understand my value. No, that's power. Power is quiet, baby, and it's discipline too. Discipline, power. And this high priestess energy here, it also, it's not about hiding. You're no longer projecting meaning onto others. No. Less explaining, less storytelling about what happened, and more observation of patterns, yours and theirs. And you stop asking, what do they feel? And you start asking, what do I know? Shoot, that's a cognitive and emotional upgrade right there. You don't have time. You're no longer projecting meaning onto others, okay? So listen, the old false narrative had already collapsed, So this ain't about pain. This is about mental finality, okay? What actually ends here now is hope that was keeping you stuck. A storyline that requires self-betrayal and the belief that endurance equal love. Now, that's all that is collapse. This is about emotional integration, which is emotional maturity. You don't have time. I told y'all. And this is where anger loses its charge. Sadness becomes information, and forgiveness becomes optional, not forced. So, listen, you don't have to rush closure. You understand yourself better now. So, guess what? You have fewer emotional spikes, clear boundaries without guilt, and compassion without self abandonment. Do you understand me? This is about you trusting yourself. Self trust returns first, okay? Self trust becoming emotionally safe again. Now you can begin to feel comfortable receiving, okay? You're curious instead of being guarded, and you're open without overgiving, okay? This is about identity stabilization, durability of self, right? So this is where you don't regress under pressure, you don't negotiate your standards, and you don't romanticize instability. This is what y'all need to stop doing. And this is the reason why your identity stabilization, durability of self, this is why this energy is associated with longevity, okay? The shift has already occurred on the inside. You're very grounded. You learned discernment instead of tolerance. You chose clarity instead of hope, and rebuilt emotional trust internally, right? Nothing mystical needs to happen next for this to be complete. No. Mm-mm. So you're very grounded. Very, yeah.